Alright, what's going on, guys? This is Sona64, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was just about to go to bed, but I actually had a story I wanted to tell about today. So, you guys probably already know where I work. I work at a grocery store, and it's actually pretty nice. I'm not complaining. They kind of let me do what I want. I'm pretty much in charge every time I work. I mean, granted, I work at night. If I was working during the day, I'd usually have to, like, you know, subject to someone else's rule, but in most cases, I'm in charge. I'm running the floor all night until the store closes, and it's pretty cool actually. Being able to do what you want to do, but sometimes you have to deal with customers, and today, for once, which is weird because it hasn't happened to me, and I've been at my job for about a year, a little over a year now actually, and I had one of my, well, not so nice customers. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are customers who are a bit of annoying, and they just kind of don't understand, and they kind of like bother you a little bit. But this time around, actually, there was a customer who I think their sole intent was to be the most pissed off as possible, and they did it, and it actually kind of bothered me, unfortunately, and that sucks because I usually don't get let down. I've been having like really good days for like the last 3 months actually. I mean, I haven't had too many bad days, so that's good. It's usually like it takes like once every 3 weeks I have like one bad day, but honestly, that bad day isn't as bad as today, or I guess yesterday. So let me explain actually. I was on break with another one of the cashiers. We took break at the same time. Now, for some reason, the alarm set off on my head and said, hey, I probably shouldn't take break. One reason is because you don't really take break when you know how to run the register and someone else knows how to run the register. And you shouldn't take the same break at the same time as them, because if they need someone else at the register, there's two people on break who can run the register, and you don't want to do that. And also today just happened to be, or yesterday happened to be a bad day. We had two people on register, if you don't count the person who was in charge of the people at the register, which is the front end manager. I might as well just say that. The front end manager. If you don't count the front end manager, there was two people for about 5 hours before the store closed that were going to be on register for the rest of the night. And so when that one person went on break and I went on break, it was just one person at a register. So, and the front end manager can't just hop on a register and help out because, well, they're doing manager stuff like, you know, checking the registers for like cash, and also they have to balance the registers, which is basically like take the register out, count the money and the coupons, and just basic front end manager grocery stuff. If you know anything about it, if you don't, then that's the basic rundown of it, and it's pretty simple. So in most cases, you don't expect them to jump on a register. One person's going to be on a register, so they're holed up. They can't do anything. And so I was on break with them, right? The other cashier, and I get a call from the front end manager. They tell me there's a complaint in the deli. So since I'm running the floor, I'm technically sort of in charge of the store, but there's a bit of a caveat. So since I'm in charge of like the whole store, I can pretty much tell everybody and anybody what to do. But as far as what I'm allowed to do, it's kind of limited because there's like 5 parts of the store. I'm pretty sure it's probably less, but there is the deli, which includes frozen food. There's dairy. There's grocery. There's the front end, and there's the bakery. And I'm sorry, did I say frozen food? I meant seafood. Seafood is included in the deli. There's frozen food, but frozen food is technically grocery. So there's about 5 or 6 parts. And the person in charge, which is me, I kind of tell people what to do in those departments as far as, telling them to do their job. Now, for the most part, I can kind of do everything that I mentioned. The only things that I can't do are bakery because I wasn't trained for bakery. I can get trained for bakery, but at right now I can't do bakery. So I can't. If someone needed something written on like a cake that they wanted, I can't do that because I'm not trained to do it. Now, as simple as it might be, you're just not allowed to do something you're not trained to do because you can get in trouble, you can get fired. So if I'm not trained to do it, then I'm not allowed to do it. I can't do it. Otherwise, I get in trouble. I get fired. So I can't do that, and also I can't do the deli, which is unfortunate where the call was from. It was from the deli. Now the deli is something special. It's different from the bakery because the deli is not just a whole different part of the store, which includes its own like subset of rules. It's also a different union. So their contract is different from ours. They have a different like wage salary increase than we do. Because when I started out at 7.75 an hour, and the deli people they started out at 8.25 an hour. So there's that, and I'm not sure how their raises work, but the point is they're different from us, and we're not allowed to go back there. The people who work in the deli and seafood, they can pretty much do everything related to like fresh meat and fresh fish. I can only do things that are grocery related, and I can also do produce. I don't know if I mentioned produce, but I can do produce as well. They train me for produce, so I can do that. But deli, I can't do, and I'm not going to be allowed to do unless I become like a manager, and then they can sort of train me for it. But it won't be like a huge training, so I know everything. Just like basic training, you know. So I got a call for that, and I headed down to the deli, because I got to figure out what's going on. I'm in charge. I got to figure out, help the customer out. So I'm heading down to the deli, and there's a guy. He's in front of the deli, and I'm gonna try not to drag the story out too long. But what he said was that he asked the person who was in charge of the deli. There's two people working at the deli. There's like a kid who's been there for about a month now, probably less, and then there's another guy who's been there, I don't know, 6, 8 months. And he asked that guy to help him get lobster tails, but not just any lobster tails. He wanted long lobster tails, and the only lobster tails that were out were short lobster tails. And I got called there because apparently it was considered a complaint. So I headed down, and I got the story from him, and he asked me, to go and do that. And see, the issue with that is, which he doesn't actually understand, is that I'm not allowed to go and do anything deli related. It's not because I can't, but, well, part of it's because I can't, but mostly it's because I'm not allowed. I don't have the training, I wouldn't know where to look for certain things, so if the deli person can't help you, they can't help you. But the way he made it sound like, which I found out later, he was just being angry. He made it sound like the person who was in charge of the deli couldn't, or I'm not sorry, couldn't. He didn't want to help him. And while that might seem like it might have been true, it wasn't, because I talked to the person in charge of the deli when the store closed, and they said he told the guy that he didn't have the stuff. So I don't know what happened. I think it was just a miscommunication, because that's usually what happens in these situations, like arguments and disagreements. It's usually just someone says something, and then someone else said something else, and they're on different pages, because he got upset because I couldn't help him, and I tried to explain to him I'm not allowed to do it. I can tell him to do his job, but I can't do what he's doing because I'm not allowed to do that. It's just, see, it's funny because when I was on break and I was thinking about this, it's kind of like if you have a kid and they come home and they say, "Hey, Mom, I learned math today," but any normal person knows that they didn't, when they say they learned math, they didn't learn everything in math. When they hire us, they don't hire us and teach us everything about the store. They hire people for specific specialties, So, for example, I can do grocery, and the people who get hired for the deli can do deli. They get trained to do just the deli. It's a specialty thing. They don't train you to learn everything because that takes too much time, and some people can't hold all that information. So they train us and have us specialize in certain things. So I'm in charge of the floor. I know everything about the floor and grocery and everything, and the deli people know everything about deli and seafood. Well, maybe not a lot of seafood, but most of the seafood, probably all the seafood. I don't know. The point is, I don't know the stuff they know, and they don't know the stuff I know. I don't expect them to know anything about the floor or grocery or anything. So he got upset because I couldn't do anything, and he basically called me a bad assistant manager because I couldn't do the thing he wanted me to do, which was go back and look. Because the thing is, I don't. It's not like, even if I knew where it was, I would have to, like, measure it or whatever it is, weigh it, and then bag it. I'm not allowed to do that at all. I can't go back there and do anything deli related. I will get fired for that, because I'm just not allowed to do it. It's just, there's no explanation for it. But he didn't understand it, and it just bothered me because, like, it's like his intent was to get pissed, make a scene, because not only was he arguing with me, he raised his voice, he started looking at other customers while he was talking at me, and then he kind of, like, nudged me with his arm a little bit, but it was, like, harder, like, it's like he was trying to hit me, and then the customer started walking away because he was making a scene. He was definitely making a scene, and I was, like, telling him, you need to calm down, because if you don't, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. And he's like, oh man, you don't have to go and get the cops and stuff. And I'm like, it's funny how he thinks that I have to get the cops to make him leave the store. I don't have to get the cops to make him leave the store. There's a person who walks around the shopping center, because my job is in the shopping center. The cop? Rent-a-cop? I don't know. I feel bad calling him Rent-a-cop because he's a nice guy. He's just security, like the shopping center security. And he can come in the store and arrest him, make him leave and stuff. The point is, I had to keep him calm, and I think I did pretty well. The customers who saw me after they walked away and saw me on the way back up to the front desk, because I had to talk to the front end manager about it, because he has to know the story and stuff, just in case the person comes back today and asks about, hey, so what happened, because everybody needs to have, like, a small part of the story that they understand and stuff. And for the most part, I think I did pretty well, as far as being in charge. I kept him calm. I did my best not to argue with him, because one of the customers was saying he's a fool. He doesn't listen. He was trying to be loud, trying to cause a scene, trying to make me look bad, trying to make Acme look bad. And I did well, pretty much just holding together. I try to reason with him and tell him, hey, there's not much I can do. There's not much I'm allowed to do. And he wasn't having it. His sole intent was to get pissed, make a scene, and just be angry. And it sucks when that happens because, being in charge, you got to deal with that kind of stuff. And while I don't like it, I know it's part of the job. And if I'm ever gonna, like, move up, I know that I got to get used to angry customers and people who walk in and want to be mad at you, or just, they want their way and they can't have it, And I talked to the person that was in charge of the deli later, like I told you, and I said that they didn't see anything in the back. Or not that they didn't see anything in the back. They knew there wasn't anything in the back, and that's what they told him, or what he told him, but he either didn't know or didn't understand, or it's just a misunderstanding, and that's how that stuff goes down. And it bummed me out for a little bit, but I feel a lot better, or I felt a lot better, at least an hour later I felt a lot better, because it's like my friend and manager said, I can't make everybody happy. As much as I'd like to, it's impossible. You can't make everybody happy. Sometimes people are going to be upset, and you just gotta try to herd them like children, especially when they're being like children and being fools and stuff. You gotta pull them together and make them act normal, or put them somewhere where they can't make a scene and make people uncomfortable, because he was honestly making me uncomfortable, but he was making the customers uncomfortable where they walked away from the deli, and that's just not fair. You gotta be nice. Or, you know, be reasonable at least. He was just being unreasonable. But I gotta say, for the most part, while it did bother me, it was kind of fun being that guy who had to be the mediator and step in and kind of be the person in charge and, hey, you can't do this or you can't do that. Anyway, if you guys listened to my whole story that lasted like 15 minutes or so, thanks. I try to talk a lot. Sometimes I talk too much. But, yeah, if you watched all the way through, thank you. If you didn't, thanks for watching anyway or listening. And I'll probably have a funny story for you guys later. Bye.